Hi everyone, I'm recording this video today to talk to you about my personal experiences with John Lennon and how he assisted me in healing my relationship with music. And I'm sure many of you are aware who John Lennon was. John Lennon was part of the Beatles, and then he had his own separate musical solo career. And many of you know I don't need to go into the history of who he is and how he impacted history in many ways in musical history. I would like to talk more about myself and my relationship to John Lennon and what happened and how he assisted me. At age 21, I started experiencing something that I wasn't aware of. It was a musical identity crisis I had. And what I mean by a musical identity crisis, I was listening to the music I had listened to when I was 18 and 19, 20, 21. It was pretty dark. I mean, heavy metal, just angry music. And there's nothing wrong with that. There was a time and a place that this music served. Yet something happened that caused my heart to open, and I started shifting. And during this process of my heart opening, I started feeling a softening happening and more of a flowering and opening. And as this started happening, I started becoming more sensitive and aware of everything I was inputting, whether it was a movie, whether it was music, everything I was inputting consciously into my awareness. And that was including music, because I love listening to music, and usually I was using music as a way to process what I was going through. If I was feeling something negative or angry about, I would use the music as a way to, flow through what I was feeling. And that was really beautiful at the time, like I said, with the angry music. And it served its purpose. Yet when I started listening to certain music, I would start crying. And I'd heard these songs, hundreds of times before, and all of a sudden I would start crying. And I thought, like, what's going on? What's happening? And certain songs, certain music, certain artists, I would have, I'd start to feel this pain. I would start to feel, I would call it counter-programming, because what I was doing consciously at age 21, I was making sure, becoming consciously aware of everything I was speaking to myself about. I was speaking using empowering language and affirmations. So I made sure everything, I went through a list of making, hundreds of affirmations I wrote out by hand, and went through one by one, whichever ones resonated with me the most. And I made this a really powerful practice for myself. And once I started noticing everything that was counter-programming to what I was using to empower myself, I started realizing that there were these counterintuitive messages going on. And I was feeling a conflict in my awareness. And I was like, on one hand, I was using empowering language for myself, and then there was these disempowering songs about giving your power away. And what I mean by giving your power away, it's basically saying we listen to music, and we, instead of acknowledging our own power, our own light within, we give our power away to somebody else, that they're the source of our light, they're the source of our love. And I'm sure you know many songs like this, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with being there. There's no judgment here. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience of what started happening to me. So for many years I was in this state that I couldn't listen to regular music, especially mainstream music on the radio. Every time I heard something that was counter-programming, I would have a headache, or I'd have to step out of the room, or I would get a panic attack, I would get anxiety, I would start sweating. And this was something that was real, and a lot of people made fun of me because they just didn't understand. They weren't going through that experience themselves. At around age 24, I started going to this intuitive development and psychic development and connecting with angels group, in which I started my own because I love the group, the dynamic and the experiences so much. I created my own circle of connecting with light beings. And on this day, I believe it was John Lennon's birthday. And when we invited and invoked the presence of John Lennon, his presence, because there's nobody missing if you ever have somebody deceased. And I'm saying this from my own experience. I've had many of my family members pass on, and I've connected with them personally. And most people think, like, am I making this up? When you're connecting with a deceased loved one, you're not. They're coming to you. And there's a time and a place to use discernment, but that's going into a whole other story. when you really connect with your heart with that person, they come in, you can feel their presence, and you just know that they're with you. You can feel what it felt like being around them. You can either smell them or hear them speaking to you. There's all these sensations you can have when experiencing your loved ones. So with this experience with John Lennon, I saw John Lennon in front of me. He was communicating with me, and in the background I was hearing I Am the Walrus. And if you're familiar with I Am the Walrus, the song by the Beatles, he goes, cuckoo, cuckoo, you know, I am me and you are me and we are all one and together. And I must have messed that up, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's a very conscious song. If you listen to it, there's a lot of the time that the Beatles were using a lot of what they were exploring into the music. And basically I heard that in the background while John was talking to me, and he was telling me all about the music and all about my relationship to music and what I was going through and how it was, you know, this process. And once I had this experience with John Lennon, I felt a release. I felt something that opened up. I later, previously, before when I tried listening to I Am the Walrus before this experience with John Lennon, I had an anxiety and panic attack. There were so many elements going on in the music. I felt like what's going on? I am what? Like I'm a what? And so, because that's a very powerful declaration to say I am something. Like I am a powerful being. You know, I am a light being. I am love. And so they were saying I'm a walrus. So I was thinking like, well, you know, I can see how a walrus might be cool. So essentially, what was happening was, after this experience with John Lennon, I started seeing, you know, this was, like I said, back when I was 24, I would say maybe 5-6 years ago. And this is right around the time that the iTunes released the Beatles albums on iTunes. And I'm not aware if anybody remembers, but they had these giant billboards of iTunes ads of the Beatles. And this is right after I had my experience with John Lennon. So I was seeing John Lennon everywhere. I'm like, whoa, John's like following me. He's communicating with me. I felt his presence. I felt him communicating with me. I felt him just like saying, just keep doing this, keep doing what you're doing. And after that, I listened to I Am the Walrus. And it was the first time I could actually sit there and listen to the song and really feel into my body. I could breathe again. I can listen to music without getting a panic attack. And little by little, I started introducing more music into my repertoire of music that I had gathered. Because I would before that, I was just listening to music with no lyrics. I couldn't hear anybody talking. It just was, you know, a period I went through at least 4 years of not listening to music without lyrics, unless it was empowering. And most of the time, there was not very many empowering songs that I was able to find. Now, I mean, there was always the music available. I just went through that experience. That was something I had chosen to go through as a learning experience. And so ever since then, I've had this deep affinity towards John Lennon and his experiences, my experiences of him communicating with me. And I still do sometimes see him, and I still hear him communicating with me. Not that often. I mean, I let John do what he's doing. I'm not a full-time musician. I'm not a musician at all. I just know he's a being that assisted me in this process, and my intention for recording this video is to make everybody know that these aspects, they're all available to us. We can access these beings. They've crossed over, masters of whatever they were doing. I would say John Lennon was a master of what he was doing, his trade. He touched millions of people by the songs he wrote. You know, I don't necessarily recommend connecting with too many of these beings, you know, but I remember that I'll name a few other beings that I was connecting with that actually lived, that were actually here assisting me in my process. There was Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Marilyn Monroe, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and at different times and different periods, these masters of whatever they were master of would show up to assist me. You know, Marilyn Monroe was more like an archetype, and I just felt her energy around me all the time, and it was really beautiful just to know she was around. I thought, well, like, that's really cool. I haven't ever connected with Marilyn Monroe. So essentially, like I said, my intention is to share with you that this is available, and it would be wise to record for me another video just specifically on mediumship, and I would say, I'm going to use this terminology, but like I said, it's just a suggestion, the do's and the don'ts. Using discernment when you connect with any of these beings, how does it feel? If they're giving you cool information, or is it to give your power away? Because I only recommend connecting with your higher selves and directly with Source. Anytime you do that, you open up your energies to Source, the light beings that are ready to assist you, that you're working with on a soul level, will show up. And that's what happened with John Lennon. It was a safe container. I was there with Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael is the one who brought John Lennon in. And so I recommend using a safe container for yourself, not to just be open and just inviting any energy in. It's a practice of discernment. You open it up to the light and you choose the light, and you will invite light beings in more. And John Lennon is a man, and he had an earthly experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, he was a master of what he did in the trade of music. And so he assisted me in healing that aspect of me that I had not yet integrated. So it was a really beautiful experience. I've shared with many people just my personal experiences with John, and how he touched my life even after his physical passing. And whenever somebody physically passes, that doesn't mean they're not available to you. It's a non-local connection you can have with anyone. And like I said, I've had that with many of the loved ones, and many other people's loved ones that I haven't even physically connected with, that I still communicate with. They communicate with me, and it's a really beautiful experience to do mediumship. And like I said, we all have an ability to open up to that. Yet again, if there's something that you would love to do for mediumship, you'd love to connect with a deceased loved one, I recommend contacting somebody that you resonate with. You can contact me. I've done mediumship with many people professionally, and do my classes and one-on-one work. Or you can contact anybody else that you resonate with and you feel that will assist you in this process. Because most of the time, our deceased loved ones on the other side, they're just ready to share a message and just share their heart with us. And a lot of times we're just not open to receiving their message because we just may not be ready, or whatever reason. I know I've done it for many people, and it's a really beautiful thing to have somebody connect with their loved one when they're not physically confident or ready, or whatever reason they're not able to connect with their loved ones. So once again, thank you for watching this video. There was a lot of elements in here. I went many ranges and many tones. And if this video helps you in any way, please share it, comment on this, like it, whatever you feel inspired to do. Once again, my name is Philip Garo Dorian. You can find me on Facebook, you can follow me, and I'd love to stay connected with you, and I look forward to meeting you soon.